Nice to see you. Thank you very much for joining me at Ella Park this week. We're just about to go out for our 4 laps of practice. Here we are, and you can see it has been raining, hasn't it? But never mind, feeling really good, feeling really confident. Heard lots of really good stuff about the track, and we're off, and whoa, there we are. How embarrassing. First corner, we go around. Never mind, every day's a school day. Ella Park this week, and actually, as you can see, it has been raining. First time in Club 100 this year that we've had any rain. It's going to be interesting. I don't know whether it's going to be a big leveller at this stage or not. Apparently, no one has done this track in the rain. But I was talking to a couple of the guys, and I think the conclusion that we've come to is that any mistakes that you make in a wet track is going to kind of intensify your lap time. Or if you do something really good, then you're going to get a particularly good lap time. If you do something really bad, you're going to get a particularly bad lap time. It's definitely going to be pretty tricky. And I think whilst it in terms of track knowledge, we might be a little bit better off as a result of this. You can still see it's really wet, isn't it? We might actually still be at a disadvantage to some of the really experienced guys. Now I've just forwarded it a lap or two here. You see these guys have come together, just proving the point that it is very slippery still, and very tricky. I know it looks dry, but really we're doing basically wet times, and we've got Lindley in front of us. He goes round as well, so we have to take evasive, we're off and we're on our way. Just going to skip it forward again here towards the end of a lap. Someone else has gone round. I think I've laboured the point enough now, haven't I? We are dealing with some very treacherous conditions. So here we are. That was just the 4 laps of practice before our first heat. We are starting our first heat in 14th position, and we're off and we're on our way. Now we pull back a little bit and we brake very early. Actually, you can do that when you're starting last, and then we go through a much better exit, and it really nicely works out for us. And momentarily we're up to about 6th position from 14th. Now I have to back out. If I didn't back out, I'd be sending someone into the tyre wall, it's not really the way I go racing, particularly as we just get sandwiched there, particularly as I'm not really fighting for a championship this year, turning up halfway through. We've got 3 karts coming together there. G3 Joe there, not happy. We're kind of almost side by side with this guy on the left here. He's got the inside line. Now we're going to have the inside line into the right-handers. Quite a scary corner in the wet. And we're still side by side. I'm going to snatch the apex first. And there we are. Eventually that's job done after about half a lap. And you see the guys there on the left-hand side still driving through that puddle. Rather you than me, chaps. I'm going to avoid that puddle, I think. We've got someone else off just ahead of us. I think that's Josh Petit, who has gone around there, but he's managed to rescue himself pretty quickly. We're lining up another guy here into turn 1, and we go for it. We go for the inside line there. Now turn 1 was actually really tricky. Now that the racing has settled down a little bit, you can sort of perhaps see the track in kind of more of its glory. Now, this is a track that has a lot of love. A lot of the drivers really enjoy this track, I think it's the layout. People really enjoy the layout, but also it's the smoothness. It's a really smooth track, and you can see the curbs here as well. The curbs are really lovely and smooth. This is what all kart curbs should be like. I don't understand kart circuits that build massive curbs which damage their karts and then tell you off when you sort of accidentally hit one. And we've got someone else going around there, so we go up another place. That corner, that sort of penultimate hairpin, really was pretty tricky to get right. Like I was saying, I don't understand that. You could use some of the curbs here and not smash the karts to pieces, which to me just kind of sounds obvious. But maybe there's some good reason why go-kart venues put big curbs in. Anyway, look, I have to say a big thank you at this stage to Tim Williams for sharing half of his test with me. Never been to Ella Park before, so really, really useful to have that 15 minutes knowledge, like how do you exit the pits, which way does the track go, how do you get back into the pits. All of these things were discovered during the test session that Tim very kindly allowed me to share with him. So thank you to him, and much better kind of day as a result of it. I have to say though, the conditions, even though I sort of learned which way the track went, always we just take a hit there and then we have to take evasive and then we go on to the painted stuff. Really difficult. We lost loads of time doing that, by the way. You can see there we were reasonably close to the guys in front, but just by taking evasive and having to drive all over the soaking wet stuff, I'm actually quite surprised I didn't lose more places. I don't know if the guy who just bumped into the back of me was sort of delayed as well, presumably. So as we've lost so much time, I am defending here though, so someone is lurking behind. What was I saying? I've literally just totally forgotten what I was saying. Anyway, it's something that I was. That's right. The track conditions. Yeah, so I turned up, absolutely soaking wet. Really pouring with rain for the poor old lightweights. They had kind of very wet conditions, but in a way, it was at least it was consistent. I'm sorry, by the way, I couldn't take you some footage of Wilton Mill. This is why, just in the bottom right hand corner, going up towards Christmas Corner here, and oh dear, there goes the GoPro. And that happened in one of the earlier heats. And it actually wasn't a mount failure. It was a failure of the bottom of the GoPro. I guess after a couple of years, the screws that I'd been kind of using to just the screws at the bottom of the GoPro, they ended up failing, and unfortunately that was the end of Mr. GoPro. He was dead. So I was able to take a little bit of footage off it, but obviously didn't have the GoPro for most of the day. So yeah, very sorry, but I couldn't do that. Wilton Mill was a banging circuit though, isn't it? It's really good fun. So looking forward to going back there. And hopefully being a little bit more competitive next time. Back onto this heat now. You can see that we have kind of closed the gap up a little bit again. Just on the conditions, you can see that the conditions now, it's very greasy, but certainly not dry. In a way, that's sort of a little bit more difficult because you don't know how much grip you're going to have, at least when it's soaking wet all of the time. You know exactly how much grip there's going to be. It's not going to change lap on lap. Whereas here, you're kind of obliged to push. You're obliged to push the limits, because if you don't, someone else will, and then they'll have you at their earliest convenience. So you've got to really sort of be fighting the kart, living on your wits, just as we're doing here, not troubling Mr. Apex too much there. Do get the second one nicely hooked up though. I have to say, those painted curbs, they actually did yield loads of grip. Now, I think when they're wet, they probably don't yield very much grip. And this one here as well, it really hooks the kart round. And this one just here, lovely. You can see the kart actually gripping there. So they were, useful to get onto. Again, not bothering with Mr. Apex. I think they just dried out first. That's what happened there. As normally what happens when you get on the wet stuff, the painted wet stuff, is that you lose loads and loads of grip. So normally best avoided. I think these curbs, because there's a very gentle camber on them, you end up finding that they dry out a little bit sooner. So we've just kind of stalled out a little bit here. A couple of mistakes on sort of the previous lap, and we're on the final lap here. So we're in position 9 here, up 5 places from our starting position. A really good start. kind of lost most of the places into the second corner. A couple of people falling off in front of us, so that kind of helped as well. But just going to try and put the pressure on as much as possible and learn as much as possible. I still wasn't really feeling comfortable at this stage of the day. Not until Heat 2 and Heat 3 did I start to feel much more confident and able to sort of push. But any kind of previous... Oh yeah, there we are. Final position gain, very fortunate for us, fortuitous. So that guy was, he had a really nice kind of backing the cart into that corner, and he was getting on the power really early, but unfortunately just stepping over the mark there. So it's a P8 in Heat 1, and we're going to move straight now to Heat 3, because, like a dickhead, I managed to not press the button to record Heat 2, and that's really disappointing because I had an amazing battle with lots of really, really good drivers. So I was really pleased with that, actually. Now you'll see here that the drivers, as we start Heat 3 in P13, there's an absolute class of field here. We've got people like Callum Sigafus, Josh Petty, Mikey Nichols, Adrian Ray, Joe Holmes, Tim Williams. It's going to be really, really difficult. We're going to go up the inside of this guy here, but these guys are all high quality drivers. We're in a really, really strong field here. My plan was to try and follow Tim Williams and Joe Holmes, who were starting directly in front of me through. We go up the inside of 2 there, just by virtue of being on the more grippy part of the track. So nice little move there. And we actually get a better exit here as well. The guy in front of us goes to the right. I back out. I don't fancy driving through that puddle and having wet tyres for what has proven to be a very, very slippery penultimate corner. So back out of that one, and just look to be a little bit patient and try to see what we can do in the next couple of laps or so. So just on Heat 2, Heat 1 we had a P8 overall. Heat 2 we started 13th and finished P8 as well. So 2 P8s so far, and in both of those heats I believe we were the top C3. Things going reasonably well. And what I'd say as well about Heat 2 is that sort of for the first time I was able to hold my own against some of the C2 drivers, which was pretty pleasing. Actually, I have to say, I wasn't feeling confident in the lines and in the kart and my own ability in these kind of conditions. When you've got people like the Joel Holmeses and the Anwar Barrow Smiths putting in lap times which are 1.5 seconds, maybe 2 seconds faster, you're sort of thinking, my God, what am I doing wrong? But by Heat 2 I'd managed to at least fight with some of the C2s, certainly not the C1s, but some of the C2s. So that was pretty pleasing. Driver in front just gets it wrong, but we unfortunately go in a little bit too hot as well here, so we're unable to take advantage there. And you can see the guy in the white suit 2 in front does particularly well to get away. Now that's a lovely line from the guy in the blue suit just ahead of us. So I was taking a very shallow line through that kind of double apex long right hander there, just because I felt there was a little bit more grip, and you shortened the track quite considerably, and that was certainly true. You did shorten the track, and there was more grip on the inside, but of course the exit then is compromised, and not really sure if it was worth doing that or not. I guess in certain instances it was, and certain instances it wasn't. But just as certainly as we get towards the finals, I start straightening that corner much better there. Again, it's just all about learning. Love watching my footage back and seeing what crap driving I've been doing. Yeah, there you are. The exit of turn 1. The thing about Ella Park, actually, before I go any further, someone please correct me as we lose a place there. Someone please correct me if I'm saying Ella Park wrong. I've heard lots of pronunciations. Elau Park, Ella Park. Yeah, don't know what it is really. Thing about this track in the wet that I found was that you would have grip in certain area, and then you would hit what was clearly the racing line, loads of rubber laid down, and then you would start floating off towards the barrier, and it was really kind of alarming. It was very, very difficult to find the wet line. I was speaking to Fraser Brunton before the race, and he said that really the normal racing line was working pretty well for him. Whilst lots of people were trying to take the outside line, the normal karting line, he was nipping up the inside and getting some quite good results. Nice sunset, by the way. We're in sort of deepest, darkest East Anglia here, and lovely sunsets, nice big sky. So Ella Park, I found pretty tricky to discover the wet line. Now it's also a very, very smooth surface, like I said to you earlier. Now I think that again is why in the dry it's such a beautiful track to drive. But in the wet, a very smooth surface isn't going to yield much grip. If you compare it to somewhere like Landau, where it's a very, very abrasive circuit, I know that JV and Club 100 probably don't like what it does to the tyres in Landau. Apparently, set of fronts will last the weekend at Landau, not much longer. Here, very, very smooth surface. But Landau is apparently a right hoot in the rain, because it does yield that grip. Being such a rough surface, it does give you that grip. And I believe it rains quite a lot there, being in Wales. So, lovely track to drive in the rain. This one, lovely track, but for me at least, pretty tricky to get right. Now we're just putting some consistent laps together here, and the guy in front, I'm not sure, this might be Adrian Ray, I think. I'm not sure. He's got AD on his back, so I'm going to start calling him AD. Tim Williams there, just on the right. I don't know if you saw, but he has just finished in the barrier, and as the guys in front have started fighting, and as we have put some consistent laps together with our friend AD in front, all of a sudden we're right on the back of them, and there's the potential now to go up a whole load of places, particularly if it all kicks off. And so I'm just sort of thinking here, come on boys, let's have a big old fight. Don't include me. I don't want to be in the fight. I'd just like to watch you fight and then drive past you all, please. So that's what we're aiming for. Now it's going to be really important to be disciplined. AD in front of us just gets crossed up, and so we're just delayed slightly on the apex. But not to worry, we're still very much in this. Now the plan is, not to get involved in the fight until the very last moment if we can help it. But we have got the run here now, so we go right and then jink left, and we're up the inside, so up another place. But unfortunately, getting the kart turned more slowly delays our exit, and here he is back on our left. Nice little battle this. Just gets to the apex first. Unfortunately, just by making that move, it wasn't really a move that I pre-planned for. The opportunity was there, and we are in the dying moments of this heat now. So I thought I kind of had to take it. AD and I think that's Josh. They just meet in the middle there, is anything more going to happen as Josh and the guy in the orange helmet have had a fight? They've dropped back. Unfortunately, we can't quite get any further up the road, and that is the checkered flag. So that was a P10, so 2 P8s and a P10, and that ended up putting us in 7th position for the B final. Now huge shout out goes to James Radovic, who is the driver 2 ahead of us. There he is, demonstrating how big the final corner curb is at Wilton Mill, not like the curbs here. He's on C3 pole, so shout out to him. He drove absolutely brilliantly all day. Really, really amazing job. So his heat results were really, really stunning. So we've got it all to do to get past him and to really just keep it on the island. We get a good start this time. Actually, I've not been sure about some of my starts recently, but we get a good start. We're just wobbling around as one big kind of gelatinous blob. We go into turn 2. Now, I go in a little bit conservatively. Lindley gets it wrong. We've got Boz here, who's muscled his way past. And I was a little bit conservative. I didn't want to take James out, or anyone else for that matter. But unfortunately, when you do that, you end up getting absolutely shoved, or people just move past you straight away. Actually, I mean, in some cases, as we just take a little knock there as well and go down another place, in some cases, being too conservative isn't actually kind of safer. You kind of encourage people to start throwing one up the inside of you, it might have been better just to sort of go in as deep as possible, but never mind, lesson learned. So we have, I'm not sure what position we're in now, as we just lose another place to Lee Henderson there. Good move from him up the inside. I'm struggling with that corner and actually this straight all day. Losing loads and loads of time on this straight as we just get our braking slightly wrong, just tap Lee slightly, it's just going to be a matter now of trying to get our head down and put some consistent lap times in, because we've not had the best of starts. Been shuffled down the pack a little bit, but we're not too far away really. So that is the lead pack there that you can see, and we get good drive. We get good drive off this corner here, not quite enough to get up the inside of Lee. We have to blend out of the throttle. We've got good drive again, but we had to blend out the throttle. We definitely would have taken Lee out there if we haven't got out the throttle. But of course, by sort of doing stuff like that, by being sort of on and off the throttle, of course, all of the guys behind are going to be gaining on us. There was a little gap at this point. I don't quite know what happened behind, but there we are. We get a slight knock and we get put onto the very, very wet part of the track and lose loads of traction, so down 2 places again. Not an ideal start to this one really, not certainly in the in the beginning phases of this race, not quite on the pace. With regards to pace, perhaps my racecraft wasn't as good as it has been sort of in other rounds so far. However, in terms of the pace, as we just got up the inside here, actually I'll continue that point in a minute, I kind of felt, the guy in front shakes his head, I kind of felt that I was far enough alongside there to be not turned in on, but I guess the guy just didn't see me. Sorry to him for that move. I was sort of going for the to try and get the apex first. You'll notice that we did actually clatter the cone a little bit there as well, but the marshals would have seen that. There were marshals stood right there, and I think they probably did see it, but they were taking very much a common sense approach there, I think they realised that I hit the cone because of the contact rather than trying to cut the corner. So we didn't get a penalty for that actually, which is got to be very, very good news, and and a sensible decision, I think. But unfortunately, again, we have gone down a few more places. So we're just by that ill thought out move, or move which didn't quite come off, we have ended up not doing not doing ourselves any favours at all. But we are beginning. The point I was about to make was that racecraft not brilliant in this final, but actually the pace was one of the fastest lap times that I did. I didn't do the fastest lap time, certainly not the fastest, but in comparison to the drivers around me, I was in the 102s. Most people were in the 103s. By the end, just trying to take a bit of a silver lining there, because you've got to look at the positives as well as the negatives. Driver on the apex just gets crossed up, but unfortunately nowhere for us to go, so we're unable to take advantage, and we're not really able to make anything happen. He goes up the inside of AD. Again, I'm really sorry, driver in front, if that's not your name. We're going to try and take advantage of that as well. We brake early, gets all crossed up, and I don't know how he's held that. He's done very, very well, but he maintains the position. He got the kart turned. I thought he was going round then, but he wasn't. He did a great job. So nice bit of kart control there. And you know what? It is still absolutely all to play for, because we are all as we were before. There's a small gap now to the guys at right at the front, and sort of back down from about P3 down to wherever we are, probably about P11 now, something like that. I'm not really sure, if I'm honest. As you can see, We've got a group of 3 ahead of us, and then a group of 4 ahead of them, and everyone is sort of piling into each other. The blob that they are is slowing themselves down. So yeah, again, potential for us to make a move, and we've made one move there. But are we going to get punished on the exit? Yes, we are. Good move there again on the exit by Adi, who I'm really sorry. He's probably going to be very angry that I'm calling him Adi, but never mind. Yeah, that's exactly what you should do. If someone's up the inside of you, brake early, get them back on the exit. Now, of course, I didn't really know where he was. If I braked too early to stop him from doing the cutback, he could well have just gone around the outside of me. So, very, very good move there. And we're still kind of all together. You can see that as someone makes a move, the gap opens up and, the field gets slightly strung out, but it's never more than a couple of moments before someone else ahead of us then makes a move as well, and then we close up all together again. So again, we've got this group of 3. We've got Wilson there. Again, don't know if his name's actually Wilson, but we'll call him Wilson in the yellow and black suit, getting the apex. And actually, he goes very, very wide into turn 1. Have we got an opportunity? Unfortunately, not quite. We have to brake quite early again. It's so easy to snatch a brake and just sail into the back of people, and sort of end up destroying someone else's race. So we are being quite conservative, and I'm also really trying to work on my exits. Exits have just been this continuous problem for me, at least. I'm pretty confident on the brakes, actually. I'm very confident with trail braking and enjoy doing that, actually. But of course, I think taking too much speed into the corners and letting the revs drop has always been why I haven't been quite as quick as I might have been. Anyway, just while this is all going on, I mentioned earlier that I'm not in a championship really, and that's certainly true. This is only sort of race number 6 that I've done. I've turned out from Bayford onwards, so not really been thinking about any championships. 2 guys ahead of us go wide, and we get them both on the exit. So a little bit of patience there has paid off, and again, patience hasn't really been one of my virtues, but in that case it has worked out quite nicely, and we're just going to cruise up to the back of then the 2 carts ahead of us, and hopefully they can do us a favour by sort of making a slight error as well. That would be good, wouldn't it? Come on, boys. I've made plenty of errors. Now it's your turn. Anyway, like I was saying, the championship. Now I kind of wish that I had done a round earlier, because then I would have at least had enough championship appearances to basically get an entire. How would you say that? Well, basically, I think isn't it the 8 out of the 11 rounds count, don't they? And by the end of the season, I would have done 7. So I basically dropped a whole round's worth of points. And if I'd known that I'd been in the least bit competitive, I might have joined a little bit sooner. But you live and learn, don't you? Yeah, real shame actually, because I'm climbing up the points. I know that some other people in C3 aren't turning up to every round as well. But I'm sort of there or thereabouts now. Climbing up to sort of around about 6th, 5th in class, something like that. But all of a sudden it's very, very close, sort of up to P3 in class. So it'd be quite interesting to see what happened if I had competed for more rounds. Now we're going to go and look up the inside of this guy here. Again, it's all kicked off. A few laps where we haven't been fighting anyone has really allowed us to get onto the back of the group in front. Unfortunately, Lee Henderson just goes round there, so we go up another place. So had to take evasive action, but 2 places gained on this lap as well. Of course, whenever you have to take evasive, it's always a little bit dodgy. You do lose a little bit of time, and just there, I know it doesn't look like much, but I got a big old shove. Got a really big shove from presumably it was the guy in the that we're looking at now. Now I know at this point I'm flapping my arms around like a chicken, because I can see that the marshals had seen that. These marshals here, they had actually on the right, they had actually seen that move. I can only assume, therefore, that maybe this guy on the right here that we're fighting with now got loaded into me, because he didn't get a penalty either. And as we are on the wrong side of the track, AD goes past us again. We've got the inside line here, but he hangs it around the outside. Those marshals, in looking at turn one, they were very reasonable, actually. I think if they didn't give him a penalty, it's probably because there was more than just myself and him involved in that incident. So I'm, whilst disappointed to lose that position from contact, I can trust in the marshals that they made the right decision. Up the inside into turn one again, but it's so slippery on the exit. Turn one was just somewhere which was really, really difficult. Again, you hit the normal racing line and you just start floating, which is what we did there. Driver in the black suit there gets it all wrong. He goes off the track and he comes back on again. He's got wet tyres and he taps AD and he hits the side of us really hard. He actually lost control on the runoff there. Lots of big puddles. And he was actually, when he came back onto the track, he came on sort of side and rearwards onwards. We go up another position there. Unfortunate for him, he just ran out of road, and then when he got onto the wet stuff, there really was very little chance of him recovering. And just delayed us slightly, just because we got a bit of a hit and it ruined our momentum onto the next straight, but not the end of the world. Again, as the guys ahead of us are racing, it does allow us to catch up and go for hopefully what will be another move. AD gets it wrong on turn one. Again, turn one is so slippery, so difficult, so we have to take the outside line. Not much grip out there, but certainly better than ploughing into the side of another cart. The two guys just ahead of us now, again, we've got Paul Williams, who's a perennial top guy in C2. So I'm frankly really pleased to be close to him at the end of the B final, and putting in some respectable lap times in respect to people like him. Now we are on the last lap here, so have we got any opportunities? Looking around, and we're going to put it up the inside here. Now we have to go very, very narrow, very difficult to get the cart turned. He squeezes us over to the left hand side, but leaves us respectable racing room there, so good racing from him. He's put us on a less grippy part of the track, so excellent racecraft, and he just gets the exit sorted, and that is the checkered flag. So a little fist bump from him there. Good racing, enjoyed that. And actually it turned out at the end of all that we were in P3. That's me on the right, standing on tiptoes to make myself look taller, and in the middle is James Radovic. There he is, and prize for the best celebration there of all season. So very well done to him, very well done to everyone. I'll see you at Buckmore. Thank you very much for watching.